Hello ladies and gentlemen, this copy of Ace Combat 7 was supplied to me by PlayAsia because, well, they're very nice people. If you want to support me and the channel, use the link in the description and you can use the coupon code BLUEVITA to save a few dollars off your order. You need to use both, the link and the voucher. You can also thank the patrons for helping me out. Thanks to Alan, Billy, Blizz, Brett, Caleb, Chen, Christoph, David, Edia, Eric, Gary, Joey, the other Joey, Christopher, Matthew, Miguel, Mike, Mathaldu, Rodrigo, Sackchief, and Z for their support. Again, links in the description. Enjoy the video. Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima, and that's my chair going under me again, and I'm here checking out, for the third take, Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown. This is an airplane, dogfighty, shooty, everything goes to hell in a handbasket real quick because I can't play this properly game. So, there are 3 modes in this game. We have the campaign mode, the multiplayer, and the virtual reality stuff. There's a reason why we're not going to be playing the multiplayer in this video, and we'll get into why that is once we actually go and have a look at the campaign stuff. We can also view some data, and there is actually a lot of data that you can see, including the type of aircraft that we're using, the sorting data, how many kills we've gotten, what our scores are, and just a bunch of other stuff and a bunch of other menus. You can see the little menus going on down the bottom there, and the medals are things like special objectives. Get as many kills as you can, do special things on certain missions, yada yada yada. There's a fair few things in there for those who like their stats. You've got a fair few options going on. You can come here to change your control type from standard to expert, but you should probably just get used to expert immediately. Your high G turn settings, which we'll get into. Reduced collision damage, which is actually a pretty nice little feature, and just basic vibration options. You can change some of the buttons, but not all of them, which kind of sucks. It'd be nice to be able to change all of them. And you can change whether or not your camera and your pitch is inverted. You can change your flight stick controls, but I didn't buy the Thrustmaster stick that they did do for this game. There's also some display options, some sound options, and your language options. You can have the Japanese voice track, which is nice, and you've got a few different kinds of subtitles. That's all good. So let's go hop into the campaign. So, I've been playing this for a few hours at this point. We're actually going to do free mission because I need to pick a mission that isn't a massive pain in the ass to do. We'll do it on hard because that's what I've been doing. I'm at mission 11, but we have a bunch of different missions that we can do, which is interesting. I'm just trying to think of one that would be somewhat appropriate. Long Day would actually be not that bad, but I think it's got spoilers in it. So, you know what, I think we're actually going to go back and we're going to play the mission I'm up to in the campaign, because it doesn't actually have that much in the way of spoilers. So this is going to start the briefing for mission 11, and I'm going to shut up and let you listen to it.
Trigger, Count. We've received official confirmation about what we're supposed to do with you. The company commander has made it clear he'd like you both to officially join our squadron. This is an unprecedented move. Seems like you've got some people looking out for you. Still, I think it's because of how you've conducted yourselves. I believe you'll be an asset to us. Okay, it's time for your briefing. For a long time, our counteroffensive has been overpowered by the Erusian drone's auto-intercept system. If a craft enters their airspace and doesn't respond to their IFF, drones automatically take off and move to intercept their target. However, we've discovered that the intercept system has a blind spot. We've acquired this valuable information by sending our other squadrons on dangerous missions to scout the whole area and initiate combat. Of all the pilots assigned to us, only 2 managed to survive the mission. If we don't act now, before the enemy can fill in the blind spot, those pilots will have sacrificed themselves for nothing. So, we've been ordered to carry out a long-range strategic strike. Operating separately from the main forces as the Long-Range Strategic Strike Group, we've been developing a strategy in secret. Cyclops Squadron and Strider Squadron will sortie deep into the Erusian territory and will be carrying out specialized long-range attack strategies. You will carve your way through the territory from the north to the capital of Farbanti, attacking important targets along the way. The first operation will involve striking the enemy's main naval force, the Njord Fleet, which is gathered in northern Eugene. We've known for some time that there's a large supply base utilized by the enemy fleet in the waters around Snyder's Top. At present, the enemy fleet is concentrated there. Naturally, they intend to attack eastern Eugene, where the Ostian forces are stationed. If we can surprise the enemy with a long-range attack, we could potentially do devastating damage to them. Still, it's highly likely that their advanced fleet are prepared and have started to move, so combat with the enemy fleet is probably unavoidable. We've verified the existence of a large supply base in the sea, as well as a medium-sized one in a valley by an estuary. It's a wide operation area, and there are a number of places you can expect large-scale combat, so we've set up a return line for replenishing supplies. Use it proactively. Anytime you feel the need to stock up on ammo or make repairs to your craft, it's there. While aircraft and ammo can be replaced, the lives of our pilots cannot. We don't want any casualties out there. Remember that. The counterattack has begun. Brace yourselves.
Alright, so now that's done. We can have a look around the briefing area and just see what we'll be fighting, although this is honestly a really bad map. I've played this mission a couple of times already trying to, actually do videos, and yeah, this is not accurate, not in the slightest. But anyway, let's go on to the mission prep. So we can start the mission here, but we can also go to the aircraft tree. And this is what the aircraft progression actually looks like in Ace Combat. So, Ace Combat 7, I should say. So you start out here with the F-16C, one upgrade part, and several options to upgrade to, but it all costs money! And once you have the money, you can buy the plane and then move on down the path. And as you can see, the bombs get, the planes get better. They get much better, actually. Like, let's compare, for example, the F-16C. You have to go all the way to the end, to the F-22A. Yes, they are really that much better. And they cost a hell of a lot of money, too. So, yeah, you buy the planes, you also buy their secondary weapons down here. So there's, that's all pretty good, honestly. It's a pretty reasonable set of upgrades. Now, you've also got these little upgrade parts that cost less, and you can equip them to your plane in order to make them just that little bit, more powerful. There's plenty of different kinds of parts, like this one here that increases a certain kind of special weapons range, or this one here which increases the special bomb power, or this one just makes you brake faster. There's a bunch of different parts you can get, including down here where all the parts cost a billion money, but they're multiplayer only. This is where the multiplayer comes in, and this is why I don't want to play it on stream, because this game has the old problem where if you want to be at least relatively competitive, you need to be at the end of your particular upgrade tree if you want to stand even a remote chance of, coming first. Because I jumped in with the plane I have now, and I got slaughtered. I got the floor wiped with me. I think I landed 2 hits in 5 games. The rest was just me trying to hit enemies and not being able to because they were just more flexible than me. They were in better planes. And just getting the shit shot out of me. This probably wasn't helped by the fact that I played against Japanese people and the game came out a couple of days earlier for them. So they probably had plenty of time to actually upgrade all their stuff. But me, nah, I didn't get that. Of course I didn't. So, yeah. Kind of have to work with what I have, and that's the reason why I'm not going to be playing multiplayer. I'm probably not going to jump into it again until I'm all the way at the end of the upgrade tree, or I'm at least close. Which probably means at least 1, if not 2 campaign playthroughs. And I also want to point out that all of the shit down here also costs a ridiculous amount of money. Like, for example, On most of the multiplayer matches I played, I got about 50,000 points. And there's parts down here in the multiplayer bit that cost $500,000. So it's going to take you a while to earn all the parts here. It's kind of bizarre just how much some of it costs. But anyway, we're going to back out, we're going to go start mission. That just lets us get into our plane. I've got plenty of planes here, and you can take a look at the planes if you like. So if I press square, you can rotate the camera, move the camera, zoom the camera. The planes are nice. They are really well rendered. They look great. Ace Combat is basically just aircraft porn. That's more or less all it is. So if we select our plane, we also get to select our special weapon. I'm going to go with the EML for this one because it's basically a railgun and it hurts like a bitch. We can also select our parts, and this is how you upgrade your plane for later on. You can use these individual parts in order to power up different parts of your plane, like these ones here. Multiplayer only, multiplayer only, multiplayer only. Increases EML firepower, increases firing distance, increases special bomb power, decreases special missile reload time. You get the idea. Each fills up a quota of body, arms, and miscellaneous, and you can only have 8 parts at a time overall as well. So you can fill up body without filling up all 8 of your parts with body parts. So that's how they keep the balance. Good luck to them trying to keep the balance with that, but at least it's a relatively interesting upgrade system, except that, yeah, it's kind of a bitch if you want to jump into the multiplayer instead of playing through the campaign twice to unlock all the good planes. With that said, though, let's go play the single-player mission. There's going to be one of those Ace Combat Tradition refuel in mid-air bits, but I'm going to skip it because there is 0 point. They don't even give you, like, bonus points for it, as far as I know. They might, but if they do, I didn't notice it the first time I did it. And they actually do it a lot in this game. I think I've been... Out of the 5 missions I've done, they've done things like that, like, 4 times, and they make you land a lot as well, so, yeah. Let's go! So yeah, this is Ace Combat. It's planes, and it's actually beautiful. Like, it's seriously one of the best looking games there has been in a while. People say this game doesn't look impressive. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. This game looks gorgeous. Sure, it's not overly detailed, but good lord, it's just a really nice looking game. Also, I have a railgun. Boom! That's gotta sting. Let's just fly in and destroy that shit.
Incoming missiles with their Sea-Wiz. Counteract Sea-Wiz will lower radar trains missiles outside intercept range.
Whoosh. Right over my head. Alright, so let's go over the controls because, well, why not? The controls are very simple even in the expert mode. You accelerate and decelerate with the triggers. You can change your yaw via the bumpers. This is PS4, so the L2 and R2 is the accelerate and brake, and brain work with me here, brain work with me, and L1 and R1 to yaw, which makes more than enough sense. You use the square button to swap between your special weapons, you use circle button to fire the special weapons, and you use the X button to fire your gun, and the triangle button to change what you're locked onto. You can also, of course, hold the triangle button, and you will go into this little view here, which basically shows you what you're locked onto. That's basically the entire control scheme. And it works. It works absolutely fine. It is really actually a very simple combat control scheme to use, even in a relatively complex game like Ace Combat. And it makes flying the plane feel really good. Like, damn, it feels good to fly this thing. And most of the planes. Of course, you go through the whole Ace Combat progression system where it's like you start out with the shitty planes, but eventually you end up with slightly less shitty planes, and then you end up with the really good stuff. So yeah, it's good shit. There are a couple of things that I do not like though, for one reason or another. This includes the air brakes. The air brakes are fine. The regular air brakes are fine. The brakes that I have a little bit of an issue with is the high G turning, which is new to the series actually. I have played 4 and 5, and I know damn well it's not in 4 and 5, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't in 6. I like to think I've noticed that, but yeah. The high G turning is actually something they expect you to use a lot in this game, and it's kind of bizarre just how much they actually want you to use it. Because there are all sorts of enemies that you need to fight in this game that require more or less the usage of high G turns. The problem with high G turns is that they kill your speed something ridiculous, and you need to brain, come on, don't fail me now. And you need to keep your speed up a lot if you're doing a lot of high speed turns, which can suck massively, because stalling in this game does not feel natural at all. I have played the other Ace Combat games, and stalling in those games is a lot better. You get dragged down to earth at a lot more, I don't want to say realistic, but a more just manageable pace. In this game, you end up facing downwards in like half a second, and you just hang there in the air in this really frustrating sort of pose, and you can't break out of it for a pretty decent amount of time once you've started stalling, and it's honestly frustrating to deal with, because it can make certain missions really hard, especially if you're talking about missions that are really close to the ground. They can be really hard to deal with if you are unskilled in using high G turns, and yet you need to end up using them for whatever reason. It can really get in the way, especially if you're close to the ground like this. You do not want to use high G turns if you're as close to the ground as this, because if you do, you stand a good chance of stalling out, being stuck facing downwards for a pretty long amount of time, and then just good night, and then just completely and utterly crashing into the ground and losing the level just without fail. I'm gonna need to go restock and resupply in a minute, so I might as well just head back this way. Where's the missile? There it is. The one thing that's nice about high G turns though is that it actually makes it really easy to avoid missiles. Like for the most part anyway, it can be super simple to avoid missiles now, which I appreciate quite a bit. I tried to finish it off and I failed. Let's just go straight for the let's get out of the way this missile first. Let's just go straight for the resupply line, because I'm almost out of EML. Doing alright on time though, for the most part, so I can appreciate that.
He's one of the few with the skills to face Mr. X and live to tell. That ain't funny.
Let's just take out these helicopters while I'm here. And we got a frigate, which I can shoot. Very accuracy reliant, this gun, but if you do manage to hit him, it hurts like hell. There are some other new mechanics in this game as well, and the major one that they have been pushing forever is the clouds. Now, the clouds are just going to skip the whole animation for this and just take off with a refilled special weapon and a repaired plane, because thank God I can do that, especially in this game. So, yeah, as I was saying, the new mechanic... Oh yeah, one thing I also want to complain about is the camera. It is really hard to control this camera if you want to look at anything in particular. Bit of a bitch. Anyway, moving on. The other major, the major mechanic, I should say, they've added in this game, because it is absolutely the major mechanic they wanted to add for this game, is Clouds. I know it sounds weird, but they have put a massive amount of time into the clouds in this game. They serve multiple gameplay purposes, actually. Some are situational, some not so much, but hang on, let's see if I can hit this core. Gotcha! Good night. Watch it go down. I'm just going to try and avoid this missile by going into this cloud here. There we go. But yeah, as I was saying, clouds in this game actually do a lot of things. They will obscure missile targeting systems so that you can only hit if you're a lot closer in than you need to be under normal circumstances. Of course, they just do the job of visually hiding you, which is nice. They also do the same thing for enemies. And they also... Whoop, hi, there we go. Got at least one.
Taking care of about a third of the platform. The other side is still buzzing, so keep an eye out.
Yeah. They hide you, and they also have some different mechanics depending on the mission you might be playing. One example is that they make it so that on one certain mission, which is kind of a pain in the ass, actually, they make it so that you end up... Where the hell is the missile coming from? Behind me. Awesome. There we go. Managed to avoid it. They make it so that in one specific mission, you need to stay below the clouds in order to stand a chance of not getting your shit kicked in by an anti-air missile. There are also other missions where they will get in the way. Like, for example, there's one mission where you have to fly through bloody thunder. And if you do not fly through the lightning and the thunder, well, you do have to fly through it no matter what. And you can get struck by lightning. It can kill you. It is entirely possible. So they make a lot of uses out of clouds in this game. A lot of uses. Which is nice, but at the same time, it can also be annoying as shit. One of the... Wow, where did that missile come from? One of the examples of this is a certain mission that I can remember where you are playing and you need to go and find some SAM sites. And these SAM sites can actually be obscured by the clouds, so you have to get really damn close. Like, massively close. Like, way too close for comfort. Nope, I completely missed that. Let's just blow that up with a... let's just blow those up with missiles. Cool. Trying to avoid getting hit by all the missiles, but goddamn, they give you a lot of missiles to dodge on hard. That's cool. Got it. Oh, bugger me. Oh, that's gonna sting. I just can't take another missile hit. Let's spend some time just fighting some dudes in the air. Why not? Flying through the clouds. This is trying to outmaneuver me, the SOB. Yeah. Let me finish the point I was trying to make before I get rudely interrupted again. But the basic idea is that the clouds have this annoying tendency to be either a decent gameplay mechanic or a bad gameplay mechanic, depending on the mission that is making you put up with. And it can be kind of annoying as hell. Just purely because of how variable it can be. That's generally the rule. It's varied on whether or not it's a massive pain in the neck. Cool, I've been in the score limit, so as long as I live, I get to go on to the next mission, which is nice. And I've got 3 more minutes to try and blow the crap out of some more stuff. What if I do? almost got him. You can hit planes with the, you can absolutely hit planes with the railgun. It's just hard. You can, of course, hit them with guns, but guns are slightly less reliable. There we go. Where now? Seriously, the amount of missiles in this game is nuts. I actually got it. I didn't even aim that shot. I'm quite proud of that. At least one thing can be said, though. The missions do have a lot of variety. This kind of depends on the sort of variety that you like. Whether or not you'll appreciate the variety in this game. One mission you'll be defending. An escort. You'll be escorting a crew, I should say, and through the most annoying terrain imaginable. The next, you'll be flying through a sandstorm, looking for a bunch of trucks, and the next after that, you'll be looking at a bloody next one after that, you'll be just having a good old-fashioned dogfight with missiles coming down around you. They at least have a lot of variety. Which is nice. I can appreciate that. It's just that some of them are really fucking annoying, and it's just they don't seem to have a consistent level of annoyingness. Which is a weird statement to say, but I like to think I'm making at least some sort of sense. The other downside is that the game's story hasn't actually been that massively interesting. Now you'd think with the Kingdom of Erusia, the bad guys from 5, declaring war on the Ocean Federation, the good guys from 4, you'd think there'd be some really interesting things they'd do with that. And judging purely by the trailer, by the fact that they've got Stonehenge back up and running, you'd think they would, but based purely on the 11 missions I've played so far, they haven't actually accomplished that much interesting at all, story-wise. I'll try not to go into spoilers, but most of the story has kind of been like Ace Combat 4, how you've been climbing the ranks and then you get lowered in the ranks and then you just start climbing the ranks again. And there are some other elements that are going on outside the story, but it's very clearly obvious, at least it's not very clearly obvious, but it's kind of obvious that you're the bad guys. You're playing with the bad guys this time because they are never shown in a good light. Meanwhile, the Kingdom of Erusia, for some reason, is being shown as this almost holier-than-thou nation committing war against the unbelievers. It's a little bit weird. They're not shown doing anything bad whatsoever, which is bizarre. Most of it is literally just talking to, other Oceans about how bad the Ocean Federation's been during this war, and then bloody Erusia coming along and saying we're better than them. It's weird. And not that much has actually happened in the story. Not that many big whoa moments, just stuff that feels kind of obvious.
The mission was a success. You did more to hobble the enemy's sea power than
so the story has just been kind of
work.
Lightweight. It's weird. Like it doesn't feel like an Ace Combat story at all. It kind of feels more like it feels like an excuse to put you in as many interesting locales and situations as possible. Which I can kind of appreciate, but it's Ace Combat. You kind of expect an interesting story of political intrigue going on, but there's not really that much of that going on at all. It's weird. But anyway, I completed the mission, I got a B rank, that gave me a fair amount of MRP. That will actually let me afford the next plane in the upgrade tree, I think. And if I just, I can just continue on, I get new nicknames that I can apply in the multiplayer, and I can just continue on if I feel like it. So if I just hit quit mission, it'll just bring me back to the main menu. So yeah, that was a look at that. Let's go take a look at VR. This might take a moment. I wonder if I'm actually going to bother leaving this part in, because this might actually take a couple of minutes. Hello! So, we've got a few options here. I'm just trying to make sure that the recording works alright, but we've got a few options here. We can fly around a map, 0 point, and we can go to the air show, which will let us watch some craft from below. And I'll save that for when we do, actually I'll save that for when we do, what's it called? Our final impressions. But for now, we're just going to go and hop onto the normal difficulty mode. Okay, the sound's on, so I can put this on completely. Just make sure it's nice and tight on my head. And here we are. It says, "Welcome back, Mobius 1," and that is like the best thing ever, because it's Mobius 1. It's Ace Combat 4 all over again. Except it's not, unfortunately, because as you can see here, there's only 3 missions. That is honestly kind of depressing. I mean, like, we knew that there was only going to be 3 missions, but they said that those missions were going to last at least a few hours, and to be fair, it kind of does, and we'll show you why in a sec. But yeah, you get a briefing with this as well, which is just pretty nice.
However, we got a report of what seemed to be Free Erusian aircraft approaching them. Air intercept is at the squadron's ETA. Your mission is to ensure our air superiority.
Yeah, we're just gonna skip the rest of that, because that's exactly what it looks like. It's not even like the fancy looking lenses are fogging up. I'm not entirely sure what's doing that. It's kind of random. There we go. Alright, so you only start out with the FA-18, but they let you move on to other aircraft as you go. So I unlocked the SU-30M2 for finishing all the missions on hard mode, and I imagine if I finish the game again, I will get the 3rd plane and then the 4th plane, because I know there's 4 planes. And they also get different special weapons, and they also have different stats. So this actually has a lot less in the way of what's the word? This actually has a lot less in the way of gun ammo, but it's got a few extra things. So I'm just gonna make sure I'm in the right position, and we're going to take off. Okay, there we go. Let the plane come down before we decide to lift off. That makes much more sense. Alright, so outside of that little bug, the game controls basically the same, and it has all the same mechanics. So you've even got high G turning, which sounds like a horrible idea, but is actually not that bad. You've got your weapons in the bottom right, you got your radar in the bottom left, and you can change it using the touchpad like you would in the normal game. And yeah, you basically just fly around and do the same shit. There are a couple of other things you can do, like some of the special weaponry is actually controlled via the HMD, so you can look at people to aim, but since I don't have any ground targets right now, they are going to show up in this mission, but they are actually going to show up in this mission, but for the time being anyway, they not here. Where is he? He's behind me, and he's targeting me, and I need to pull up right now. Clouds are in here as well. But yeah, for the most part, it, yeah, come on, come here. Come on, I'm flying the same plane as you. Can't be too hard to chase you down. There we go. But yeah, as I was saying, the, it is basically the same feature set, the same control scheme, more or less the same game, except for a couple of things. One thing is that it only has 3 missions, And the 3 missions are like the first 3 missions of a proper Ace Combat game.
Requesting takeoff clearance.
And around and around and around it goes, and where it stops, nobody
You
knows.
are cleared for takeoff.
Copy that, tower.
The first mission is you will fly and take out a bunch of bombers that are heading towards the base. Great as a getting settled in mission. This is the second mission where you have to destroy a bunch of ground targets and a bunch of air targets. The third mission is in a mountain range where you have to fight off a bunch of swarming planes. Then you have to fight off a bunch of stealth planes that don't show up on your radar. And that is the entire mission.
Radar detection range has expanded.
I wish I was kidding, but I am not. That is the entire mission. That is the entire set of missions in a nutshell. And, well, look, they do give you a fair bit of replayability. I will give them that. Considering that you've got 4 different planes to play with, and they all do fly very similarly. They absolutely do fly very similar. Not very similarly, I should say. Very differently, not very similarly. God damn it, me. They all do fly very similarly, differently. Fuck. Very differently. Especially since one of them is the bloody A-10 Thunderbolt, so you can just go around brooding people all day and night. But yeah, the thing about it is just that, well, the 3 missions are going to be pretty similar, especially if you're like me. Start out on hard, get through all of the missions in about an hour, and then just end up feeling like you've seen everything there is to see. And it would have been really nice if they gave you just like more stuff to do. That wasn't, oh shit. It'd be nice if they gave you more stuff to do. That wasn't just, replaying the same 3 missions. Like, why didn't they turn this into an arcade mode, Ace Combat 5 style? Like, I'm honestly befuddled that they didn't do that, because they had 3 perfectly good maps to do it with, so I'm not sure what the deal was there. I'm saving my special weapons.
Enemies after the substation have been destroyed.
Because I know what's coming next.
Make sure you're extra careful when you turn the electricity back on. Those guys are putting their lives at risk protecting us. Let's get this place back online.
And I will say that the VR implementation of Ace Combat is really good. Like all the little bits of the plane down here, even the little turning on the, I went in the entirely wrong direction. That's what I get for trying to be smart about it. Even the little joystick, waggling around under there where you won't be able to see it. Being able to look around in any direction and use certain weaponry to lock on. It's all really cool shit that I really would have appreciated some more content for. Like, seriously. Surely surely something along the lines of an arcade mode would have worked just fine for this. I'm still not entirely sure why they decided to not do, like, just a little arcade mode where they procedurally generate waves for you. It'd be a hell of a lot more interesting than just trying to, it would be a hell of a lot more interesting than just trying to... How did that miss? Than just playing the 3 same missions over and over. The 3 missions they give you are good. Just feels like they should have done more. Who knows, maybe in the patch or something they'll add some free content for the VR players, but yeah, I will definitely say that unless you are more than willing to replay the same 3 missions over and over just because it's a relatively capable flight sim in VR, don't go buying this just for the VR compatibility. You will definitely not get too much value out of it in that case. Buy it if you like the series, obviously, but don't buy it just for the VR stuff. Because that, yeah, see what I mean by stalling? Just immediately flipping you downwards? That is something that happens a lot. Let's go take care of this shit. Dive to avoid missiles.
Viper 2, Fox 2.
Missile.
Fox 2.
Missile.
Attack this. Bend is quiet. Locked
Just
on.
hear the bloody missiles coming up from under me. The directional audio in this game is great as well, actually. All the audio in this game is great. It looks great and it sounds great too. The soundtrack so far has not been a disappointment at all. I will definitely say that much.
There are no more enemy ground units.
No more
Shoot
enemy
down
ground
bandits
units.
that
Now
have
I just need to
withdrawn.
take out the Skyers. The Skyers? The Flyers, I suppose. That was something to do it anyway. Apparently I got hit by a missile, I didn't even realise. They definitely don't shake the plane as much as they do when you get hit by a proper missile in this one. In this mode anyway. So there's the stall and there's the missile hit.
Caution. Pull up.
Roger that.
Missile. Missile.
Mobius warned to shoot another bandit.
Mobius 1 destroyed another bandit.
3 to go.
Of course I did, I'm Mobius 1.
We're getting beaten by one guy. Attack failed. Damn it. Space still has AA guns. Mobius 1, you've been spiked. Bandit behind you. Fox 2. Fox 2.
Destroy our enemies. Our defense force is fading.
Okay, so I know your defense force is failing despite the fact that I'm trying to kill them, and they are doing much worse to me than I am to them. This is easy. It's normal, isn't it? I put this on normal, didn't I? I was playing this on hard and they weren't this hard. Yep, and the base just went down. Despite the fact that I had absolutely no ground units left, and let's just crash.
We're surrendering. All flight aircraft
Boom.
back to the nearest allied base.
That was an unfortunate way to end it, but yeah. Alright, let's plop, let's do a poop. Let's go to the VR air show and just watch that for a little bit. The loading is going to take a little time. To the VR menu, yes. Air show.
Mobius 1? You must really like flying to watch us train on a day off. Well, I guess you're different from the other guys. Since you're here, why don't you call the aerial maneuvers? Omega Squadron, you heard that?
Omega 2, roger.
You can change what position you watch the
Alright, the
air show in. Although there aren't actually that many, and it's kind of hard to tell what direction they're going to come from next. And you can also change the I just need to... Yeah, there we go. We can make them do the Millennium turn. Seriously, I don't even know where to start watching. Like, where the fuck are they?
This exercise has the plane landing, then taking off without stopping.
It's a neat feature. But yeah, that was a look at Ace Combat 7. The flying is 95% there, minus a couple of weird touches that it feels weird that they missed. The campaign is weirdly storyless. It feels kind of like,
Pitching directly upward, allowing it to swiftly turn 180 degrees.
The flying is mostly there. The campaign is mostly storyless and feels a little bit weird for it. They're clearly trying to push some kind of underlying morals with it, but it just feels a little bit lightweight for an Ace Combat story, a bit dull. More of an excuse to go and do crazy things in a plane. Which isn't the worst thing in the world, but this is Ace Combat. We usually expect a story of political intrigue, and I'm halfway through the story, and there's been no political intrigue just yet. It's a bit weird. If I tried to do that, I would die. The multiplayer, since it shares campaign progress, it makes it kind of hard to actually really talk about that before I've gone and gotten all the planes and stuff. But yeah, basically, don't go playing the multiplayer unless you've given the campaign at least one run through, but probably two. And the VR stuff, while neat and pretty damn well done, is surprisingly limited, and I wish they included more. Overall, I'd say I'm a little bit disappointed. At least the game itself is still good, although a lot of the stuff around it is just kind of eh. But I don't regret buying it so far, at least as a fan of the series. So, yeah, that should probably tell you everything you need to know. It's not the best Ace Combat game, definitely not the worst. It's just, it falls below Ace Combat 4 and 5 for me personally. But I'm still enjoying it. It was nice to be able to fly a plane in VR. Like an actual fighter jet. Because as far as I know, the only flight simulator that lets you fly anything that's even remotely like Ace Combat is DCS World. And anyone who knows what DCS World is knows that you do not want to go playing DCS World. Even my computer, which I literally spent $3 on, is not good enough to run that game in VR. I am below their recommended requirements. That game is just unbelievable. But yeah, that was a look at Ace Combat 7. This has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.